All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We are stepping into a very dark, deeply unsettling investigation today. We're looking at a case that literally blurs the line between a picturesque dream and, well, a living nightmare. We're going to deconstruct a chilling series of events that went down in the remote mountains of Himachal. So consider yourself warned. What we're about to uncover? Yeah, it is not for the faint of heart.
Seriously, think about this for a second. What would you do if your ultimate dream home, the place you poured all your savings and hopes into, turned out to be a trap for your soul? Today, we're stepping into the shoes of a young married couple, Amita and Eilish. They thought they were buying freedom, but actually, they bought a one-way ticket into an ancient, terrifying snare.
Section 1. The Beautiful Dream House, A New Beginning.
So Amita and Eilish had this shared, super innocent ambition. They just started a thriving online business, which gave them the ultimate modern luxury, right? The ability to work from literally anywhere. So they decide to escape the city grind and buy a small, secluded house in a peaceful village up in the mountains of Himachal Pradesh. Surrounded by dense forests, towering trees, vibrant flowers, on paper, it was absolute paradise. Just this bright yellow house basking in the sunlight. But the second Amita opened the front door, that whole exterior illusion just shattered. The interior reality was incredibly grim. They were immediately hit with this wave of a foul, unidentifiable stench. And even though it was the middle of the day, the inside was cloaked in this heavy, oppressive darkness. It had clearly been abandoned for years. But you know how it is. They brushed off the smell and the dark as just, well, side effects of an old, locked-up property. They cleaned up, lit some candles, and just tried to settle.
Section 2. Terrifying signs of the first night.
Now, their attempt to normalize their new home was about to be violently interrupted. We usually think of hauntings as this slow build, right? Like a creaking floorboard here, a cold draft there. Not this one. This entire escalation took place over a mere 48 hours. We're talking night one's rotten food, straight to night two's hidden basement discoveries, and then boom, day 3 resulting in a mysterious medical coma. It is a rapid, terrifying descent into madness, and it all started that very first evening.
Okay, so on that first night, Amita goes to the kitchen to chop some vegetables they had literally just bought. From the outside, these vegetables looked completely normal, totally fresh. But when she sliced into them, they were entirely rotten on the inside. And worse, they were crawling with black bugs. Just a massive, visceral red flag. But honestly, exhaustion is a powerful thing. Blaming their extreme fatigue from the move, they basically just ate some bread and butter and went straight to sleep, totally ignoring this impossible phenomenon.
But the house, well, it wasn't done with them. Around 4:30 a.m., Amita wakes up to find her husband Eilish missing from their bed. She walks outside into the freezing night and finds him out in the garden. And he's vigorously digging this deep hole with a shovel. But the most unsettling part? He was wearing this strange, completely empty smile on his face. When Amita shouted his name, he just snapped out of it. He had absolutely zero memory of how he got outside or why he was digging. Amita, trying to stay logical, just rationalized it as sleepwalking brought on by stress.
Section 3. The Dark Secret of the Basement.
So the next day passes totally normally, which kind of lulls them into a false sense of security. But on the second night, that's when pure psychological horror sets in. Amita is jolted awake by this loud, grating noise from the floor below. It sounded exactly like a heavy chair being violently dragged back and forth. Trembling, she creeps downstairs, and the noise leads her to a space under the stairs, where she finds a hidden door she definitely hadn't noticed before. It led down into a basement. As she descends the stairs, the air gets incredibly thick with the suffocating stench of rotting herbs. And there, in the dim light of a red lantern, she spots Eilish. He's sitting perfectly still in a rocking chair, just intensely staring at a strange black bottle.
Amita calls out to him. The chair immediately stops rocking. Then, with a sickening cracking sound, Eilish's head snaps up. You guys, his eyes had no pupils. They were completely white. And right then, the true horror reveals itself. Standing directly behind Eilish, just faintly illuminated in the dark, was a blurry, dark shadow of a woman. She had long, unkempt hair and terrifyingly hollow, white eyes.
Section 4. The Piशाchiny's Deadly Attack.
This right here is the point of no return. It's where psychological torment shatters into physical reality, and the boundaries of what's real and what's a nightmare just completely dissolve. The entity attacks using this twisted nightmare loop. Basically, the shadowy woman lunges forward and chokes Amita until she passes out. While unconscious, Amita had this vivid, agonizing dream where she is the one out in the garden digging that hole like a maniac until her fingernails literally break and bleed.
When she wakes up in her bed thinking she's safe, she looks down and sees real, dried blood and wet garden dirt caked under her actual fingernails. The nightmare had leaked into reality. Suddenly, that horrific smell of rotting meat and burning herbs floods the room. The doors slam shut and lock themselves. The light bulbs shatter, and the walls of the house literally begin to emit the sounds of weeping. It's absolute chaos.
Out of the shadows emerges Ailesh, but he isn't alone. He's carrying a heavy, rust-covered axe dripping with black blood. His eyes are completely white again, and floating right behind him, a horrifying male spirit. Its face is rotting away, and its eyes are pitch black. When Ailesh speaks, his voice is replaced by a demonic roar, shouting that no one is going to survive. Amita backs away in sheer terror, only to bump into something freezing cold. It's the shadowy woman from the basement. She chokes Amita again, yanking her straight back into the darkness.
And that brings us to the climax of the night. At exactly 3 a.m., Amita gasps awake. Her hands are clean. Ailesh is sleeping peacefully right next to her. It was as if none of it ever happened. Driven by this desperate need for the truth, she goes down to the real basement. The hidden door, the rotting herbs, the rocking chair. It's all there, but it's completely empty. Just as she's processing this, a blood-curdling scream echoes from her bedroom upstairs. She sprints up to find a scene of absolute madness. Ailesh is levitating high above the bed, thrashing violently in the air like he's fighting against invisible chains.
Amita tries to call for help, but the phone lines are totally dead. Suddenly, Ailesh's body goes rigid and just crashes to the floor. But when Amita rushes to his side, the body on the floor isn't Ailesh, it's the horrific demoness. The entity grabs Amita's throat one final time, completely cutting off her air. When morning finally breaks, the narrative totally flips. Ailesh wakes up perfectly fine, but Amita? She won't wake up at all. He rushes her to the hospital, but the doctors are entirely baffled. Amita is experiencing severe seizures and slips into a coma. Her heart is racing at a dangerous speed, and yet, every single medical report comes back showing she is perfectly, completely normal.
Section 5. Escape from the Cursed House.
To uncover the truth behind the Yellow House, Ailesh returns briefly to pack some things. Sitting outside the property is an old man he had never seen before. The old man looks at Ailesh and delivers this chilling line. "This house is cursed, and beneath it lie the buried corpses of many."
The old man then explains exactly what they were dealing with, a Pishachini. In regional folklore, this is a highly malevolent demonic entity, but what makes it so uniquely terrifying is its method. You see, it doesn't just kill you right away, it traps its victims inside a labyrinth of their own darkest dreams. It blurs the line between sleep and wakefulness, feeding on their terror, and slowly siphoning away their life force until their physical body just gives up. This entity had orchestrated that entire nightmare loop just to steal Amita's life.
The old man tells Ailesh he needs to leave immediately. Ailesh turns to thank him, but as the old man walks toward the forest, he simply vanishes into thin air. Ailesh doesn't even hesitate. He packs nothing, evacuates the house instantly, and never looks back. He arranges for an intense spiritual puja, basically a cleansing, for Amita, and days later, against all medical odds, Amita gasps awake in her hospital bed. She's crying hysterically, talking about how she had been trapped alone in the dark dream house. It was then that Ailesh realized a haunting possibility. That mysterious old man outside, he might not have been a living person at all. He was likely a wandering spirit, one of the many corpses buried beneath the house, someone whose own dreams had been stolen by the Pishachini a long, long time ago.
Amita and Ailesh survived, but their dream home remains standing in those quiet mountains, just waiting. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. The line between a dream and a nightmare is shockingly thin. If you found yourself standing in a beautiful, sunlit house, only to realize the walls were breathing, and it was actively trying to steal your dreams, what would you do? Thank you for exploring this terrifying case with me today.